Hello, Patreon backers. So obviously, Patreon backers AskGN episode. Patrons AskGN? I think that's what we call it. Leave your questions in the Discord server. I'll either put them in the main AskGN or this one, or if I don't, I'm sorry. We get a lot of questions lately, and I still try to put a lot of the YouTube questions in the main AskGNs as a service to the fans who aren't Patreon backers. So thank you for your patience. First one, Korwin says, "Where are my big fucking gaming displays at?" So when I talked to PSUs and others about the BFGDs at CES, they all sort of suggested that this product might never exist. And I had PR people telling me, but I really hope it does because I want one. That's kind of what they said. So my understanding was that a summer launch for this year was kind of the rough target at the time, but it might not happen. So I don't have any newer information than that. I'm sorry, but basically my timeline I was given at CES was look forward to news in July if it's going to happen. And if it's not, then it'll silently fade away and you won't hear about it until CES 2019 when it's pushed as a brand new product idea. Next one, ManBearPIG says, "Do you think soldered CPUs will make a comeback? I thought AMD mentioning it and Intel saying something about the Skylake-x refresh end of 2018 having it. Maybe they should provide the option. I would pay $50 extra for a soldered CPU. It should be," yeah, so I do agree it should be standard on a super expensive product like a 7980XE. It's kind of, I think it's setting in like increasingly the absurdity that a $2,000+ CPU is not soldered. I guess I get it. It's a low volume part, so is Intel going to really set up soldering on their production line for 7980XEs? Evidently not. But I guess that's just not how they roll. So unfortunately, I don't think it's quite as easy as pay $50 extra for it because they aren't offering soldered CPUs now. And if that's for logistical reasons, they're certainly not going to do it and then upcharge it. Also, I think from a inventory tracking and management situation, that might be kind of a nightmare, especially with marketing and clarifying to consumers what the hell's going on with the $50 difference, but the specs are all the same, except, I mean, like, think about it. Outside of kind of our bubble, how many people really know a CPU is soldered or not? They don't even think that far below the IHS. They don't even think there's anything under the IHS, probably in a lot of cases. So, or what the IHS is, or what those three letters stand for. So I think from that perspective, it's too much of a marketing nightmare to deal with, and I wouldn't expect it. But the question, will they make a comeback? I certainly hope so. AMD is obviously soldering theirs, so we don't really need to talk about that. Their APUs are not soldered. It's not the end of the world. I would like to see them soldered, but I guess they're fine. It's just they're fine, but I would like to see them soldered. Intel, I have no idea what they're doing. I really genuinely don't. I have not heard any credible rumors from people in the industry about soldering Intel CPUs. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but I don't read things like rumor mill websites. So I don't know what the current rumors are out there, but I haven't heard anything. Doesn't mean it won't happen, though. I certainly hope it will. I'm Annie99. When you get your new PSU testing station all set up, would you test refurbished PSUs and compare it to new ones? Microcenter seems to sell a lot of refurbs. Yeah, so this is actually something I've considered. One thing I've thought about is, like, what if the problem is you ideally want to test that exact same unit when it's new, as opposed to getting two units, one's new and one's refurbed, because they might have just had differences when they were made that we would not be able to detect if obviously we're buying it used. So I've thought about putting like power supplies under a continuous 24/7 load and test it before we put it under the load, get all the numbers down, and just like load it for, I don't know, 6 months or whatever, torturously, in poor thermal conditions, and then test it again and see if it's any different. I don't know enough yet about power supply testing to know what we should even expect for an outcome there. I don't know if like ripple or droop changes or if it's just capacitor health, but it's certainly something I've thought about. I don't know how difficult that kind of thing would be logistically for us if we kind of have it's not even about space or storage. It's about like having, I'd basically have to pay to put another circuit in, which is not a big deal, but I'd have to put another circuit in if it's going to be anything over 500, 600 watts because we need the power budget. Next question. RidoKilos says, are you part of some super secret Discord channel with multiple other tech tubers like Bitwit, Paul's Hardware? If so, please post a screenshot of something hilarious and goofy that Kyle posted as proof of your insider club cult, or stir up some drama. Thanks for the actual content. Rest easy knowing that you are more than a performing monkey. Have you seen our shipping tube video? No, I know I'm not. I do talk with most of the reviewers that you all are familiar with, just one-on-one via other channels, but there's no like group chat that I'm part of. Might not be cool enough. I don't know. Everyone's pretty busy, honestly. I don't know that anyone would even have time. Like if we had a group chat, I think it'd just be dead. I don't think anyone would post anything in it. But no, I talk with, like I spoke with Linus the other day, and spoke with Kyle. I've spoken with Paul recently. So yeah, we message each other. It's typically just for sanity checks or like, hey, are you going to be at this event? Stuff like that. But no, we don't really, there's no secret chat. Sorry to disappoint. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I am not part of the secret chat that definitely exists. They didn't invite me. John Appalling says, hi, Steve. Getting ready to build a system based on 2700X and the X470 motherboard. In terms of populating memory slots, is it better in a 16 gigabyte setup to populate all 4 DIMMs or just 2 with 2x8? I asked because I read or heard somewhere that you cannot run my memory at 3200 megahertz. So I don't know what your memory is specifically. It is possible to run 4 sticks at 3200 megahertz in Ryzen. That I know for sure. It is also true that for a given kit of memory, it's probably easier to run at least slightly higher frequencies at 2 sticks versus 4. But whether or not that's relevant is going to depend on the kit. So like, let's say you're talking about 3200 megahertz. So maybe the kit you're looking at could actually do 3200 just fine with 4 sticks, but with 2 sticks, it could do 3466 or something like that. So the question is, does that matter? And typically, if you're going for capacity, no, it doesn't matter. Go for the capacity. You have another option. If you're going for speed, I guess 2 sticks technically can perform a bit better, or it can be easier to work with if you're not working with good memory kits. But I don't think it's quite as bad as some of the posts you'll see make it out to be. Ryzen 1 support definitely, when it launched, had a lot of trouble with 4 sticks to the point where just booting was difficult, at least before launch anyway. So that was a problem. If you're reading posts from back then I'd say set your search filter to limit to Ryzen 2 or the last year or something, or last 6 months or something, because it's gotten a lot better. But yes, it is true. If you've read that your kit can't do 3200 with 4 sticks in Ryzen 2, and it's a credible source, I would believe that. It's going to depend on the kit, though. But it is possible to run 3200 with 4 sticks. But I don't know, BDOG would make it easier. Something like G-Skill's Trident Z kit is pretty good with that. HyperX tends to not be great with their memory die choices. Corsair's hit and miss. But G-Skill's generally pretty solid in that department. IonParty says, I recently received an email from EK Support when I asked if they had plans for monoblocks and hardline tubing to support their all-aluminum fluid gaming lineup, and they said they'd have some soon. With aluminum being so much cheaper for both manufacturers and consumers, do you think the 2 to 3 degrees Celsius difference in cooling could give us hardware enthusiasts a way to get into advanced water cooling without having to pay 1.52x the cost? Yeah, I mean, fluid gaming's fine, I guess, if you're actually building an open loop with it. If you're just building like a CPU loop, it's not worth it at all. But if you're doing an open loop and you don't have a ton of money, then yeah, it's fine. I wouldn't worry about the thermal difference from the copper versus aluminum solutions. Technically, copper is 2 times the thermal conductivity of aluminum, yes, but at 25C. But in reality, that's not going to matter a whole hell of a lot if your biggest concern is money. Because if you can't afford copper, then it doesn't really matter anyway. And aluminum is going to be just fine. Sure, you lose a couple degrees, doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. Maybe in very specific scenarios, but not generally. I wouldn't worry about it. Buy what you can afford, and worry about the rest later. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Leave your questions in the Discord chat. I'll see you all next time.